Okay, so I made a few cosmetic changes to the program, and I'd like to walk you through this initial prototype for you to complete and submit this lab. So basically, let me again just make sure that I build this and demonstrate how it works. I press Ctrl F5 to launch the program. So it currently generates 5 beeps. I have this default base frequency that I set to 128. So I'll show you where I use it. So initially, I set register equal this default base frequency, which by the way I set to 128. And then we are going to so this is 128 Hertz, and then we're going to take this frequency and increase it by adding the same value to each subsequent value, and store it in the array of frequencies. So this is the default base frequency. The array size, of course, I'm just using it here, so if I need to change this array size, I think you can change it to a larger value to allow users to populate longer array of frequencies. If you'd like to test with more of them, then you can just change it in one place. Default beep duration is set to be 250 milliseconds at this stage. You can even create a variable for it and ask the user for this value, but this is not very essential. You can just keep it as default. And this default beep duration, I believe we're using it right before we call make beep. So we just load the register with default beep duration, and that's going to be the duration of the sound generated and also the duration of the sleep interval that is going to follow that beep. So then, following the logic in this program, basically these are buffers that are ready for you to add user interaction and be able to convert from internal integer values to externally visible text and vice versa. When you're going to be asking user for input, this is exactly the same as we did in the previous lab when we started introducing our console interaction. 2 variables here. This is an array of this many, right? In my case 5 initially, of this many frequencies in the array, and I just set the initial value to 0. Then I have the beep count, and you should be asking the user for how many beeps they want to generate. And this is your first task to complete. I marked everything that I'm asking you to do by marking these to-do comments right here. I don't know what is going on right here. Just set it to current document. Okay, so here, ask the user how many beeps they want and update it here. You should also validate it against basically that it should be larger than 0 and it's less or equal to the length of the frequencies. So that should be a couple of checks before you let the user continue with this program. As the user for frequency values. So currently I am just increasing the frequency and I'm storing the new frequency. So right here we need to basically another comment to do replace add command with, so this is our add command that replace the following add command with user input for frequency values, right? So your job is to replace this line of code to just get the user input and update this array in a loop. So basically they will say, I would like to generate 3 beeps, and you should have this loop already set to 3 iterations, which is already happening, and just every time inside the loop, prompt them, please enter the next frequency, and they can type the number. Perhaps in a better version of the program, you should probably validate the value they have entered. So you may also check the values that the beep accepts as acceptable ranges for frequencies. But again, this is optional, right? So optionally, you can make sure that the user enters some kind of frequency that can be accepted by the beep call. All right, so then the rest of the loop does what it's supposed to do, and this is our first loop to ask the user for values and populate everything in this array of frequencies as we have it. So the next, again, I just want to switch to current document. The next step in our code is to generate beeps. So we're already doing all of this. The only thing that you need to add is to display the tone frequency and duration, which, by the way, already loaded into these two registers right before you call make beep. Just make sure that you don't change these registers between here and the time when you make a call, because these are maintained as input parameters for our procedure make beep. Again, the bottom of this loop is already just fine. It just checks the counter for each iteration and jumps back to the top of the loop. So this is entire loop for generating the beeps. So make beep is the procedure that we added earlier that generates the beeps. Also, at the bottom of this program, as required by number 8 right here, just ask the user if they want to repeat. Just ask them, like, yes or no, if you'd like to repeat again. And if they say yes, then we jump right back from here to the top of the program, essentially back here, like, repeat everything. Right, so we can use this label and say that if we ask the user and they answer affirmative, then right here jump back to the top of the code to repeat everything. Okay, so that's the bottom of our main procedure, and this is our make beep procedure right here. So one more thing to do in here is just to display the error code if for some reason beep returns back a non-zero. So this is already checked, and all you need to do is again just add some output code right here. So I believe this is the entire prototype that we have so far. So it's been working for me. You should feel free to modify it any way you like. But basically this is the idea behind this specific laboratory, to experiment with Windows API calls, and also of course continue using our input-output facility, which is included right here, input-output macros, which we use in the prior laboratory. And of course you can see that we continue using conditional jumps to make decisions about the logic of our implementation.